Friday, and that means Bca-101, Introduction to Computers. Got started on Unit 2, skills-based. I mentioned just a couple brief things about that. We talked a little bit about the outline, word processing group project. We did a little bit of work on that, got started. We'll be doing more of that on Monday. So this is completing week 3, and this was day 8. All right. Talked a little bit about grit. We watched the video, and there's actually 2 videos to watch. There is a video on change, a summary. I did a summary on change. Then there's a video on grit. I think change a little less than 10 minutes. This one's a little less than 7 minutes. And we talked a little bit about that, what the students got out of it. They took some notes. IQ and talent doesn't always mean long-term success. Success is long-term. It's more of a marathon and not a sprint. This one I thought was real important, growth mindset. It's not the idea that you're born with a certain level here and you can't improve that. It really says you can. So in a course like we have here, I think about everybody's kind of at a different level, and your goal is to move wherever you are up. Grades don't always relate to the real world. We're not saying grades aren't important, but it's your perspective of grades and how you look at them. We talked how important it is to fail. It seems like the more you fail, the stronger you grow. And I asked the students, which one are you today? Are you grade driven? Is that the only thing that drives you to work in school? Or are you task driven? You're only worried about getting the task done? Like we asked, I would never ask my kids to get their homework done, because then the task would be to get it done and not learn from it. Or are you knowledge driven? Do you strive to learn? Do you do deep learning? I mean, not just surface learning, just enough to get by, but do you try to understand and figure out what you are learning? Not always, but sometimes people do just surface learning when their only emphasis are these 2, and they don't have an emphasis on learning, gaining knowledge. All right. We'll talk more about that as the year goes on. Next thing. Talked a little more about the internet. NIAC connects to the internet. Our ISP is the Iowa Communications Network. We talked about Microsoft. We talked about Canvas. These things are connected into the internet. We're going to talk this week, coming up, a lot about the World Wide Web and how that is different than the internet. The internet, which stands for, I think I told you this before, the word comes from internetwork. It's a way to connect networks. So it connects Canvas, connects this, connects Google. It connects, all these web presence out there, So it's like the interstate. The interstate connects towns. It's not really what the towns are. You don't get a McDonald's, from the interstate per se, but the interstate connects you to a McDonald's or to a IKEA if you're going to buy some furniture or whatever. The World Wide Web uses the internet to transport information. They use a browser to read HTML markup language, hypertext markup language, and we send it using hypertext transfer protocol. Learn a little more about that when we do networking after spring break. But you shouldn't confuse, the World Wide Web uses the internet. They are not the same thing. All right, that's it. Week 4. Hard to believe we're that far already. So looking ahead, we will be talking about, in week 4, we'll be talking about communications, information communications technology, a little more detailed, and we'll be talking about the internet. And then I put a couple other things into this unit. Productivity software. That's probably about the only other thing. Talk a little more about browsers, try to understand them a little better. And how search works. Alright, that's it.